Laurence, good. I guess evening. It's good morning here. So good morning, folks. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good night in some cases. But we're streaming this live to all the platforms, so it's very exciting. And yeah, I want to welcome Laurence Loxam. You and I have been connecting a little bit over the last little while. Really amazed about what you've been doing, your journey, your success story. Mate, congratulations and thank you for joining us today. So it's my pleasure to have you here, and I'm hoping that we dive into some really cool stuff that you've been working on. Not hoping, we will, um, and we may not cover everything, but we'll do our best. So, without further ado, Laurence, please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about how you ended up in this space, and we'll talk about your methodology, which is very fascinating.
Thank you, Nagui. Thank you very much. And yeah, good morning, afternoon, and it is starting to become evening here in the UK. And just a quick apology up front. I'm based just south of the Lake District for those in the UK, and I'm having a couple of issues with my internet. So that's my excuse out of the way. Hopefully it sticks with me and everything's okay.
It looks
so
good.
yeah.
Hmm.
Brilliant. Well, thank you, Nagui, for the invitation. It's very kind of you. As you say, we've got to know each other quite well recently, and lots of discussions. A bit about myself. I've had nearly 30 years in corporate. I've done a lot of coaching internally. I was a leader coach to begin with, and then 2015, I got my first sort of coach stroke mentor. Inspired me a lot to actually get a real executive coach in 2018, which inspired me again then to go and get qualified myself in 2021. So I've been ramping the coaching up, and then at the end of last year decided to go at it full time. It's my passion, it's what I enjoy. And so yeah, as of this year, it's been my full time in terms of doing executive coaching.
Excellent. And yeah, your experience, I'm sure, plays a big role in your ability to develop your own methodologies, your own techniques, because you've been there and you've been a leader. You've been in some very senior roles. I don't remember all of them, but that experience, do you find that really helps you to cement what you want to do, how you want to help people, and so forth?
Yeah, absolutely. With the right client. So my background is purely commercial, and so I bring that experience into a coaching session. And I guess there's different types of coaches out there. For me, it's executive, it's performance, it's one-to-one. And being able to bring those years and years of experience. I became a manager at 21 years of age and made so many mistakes. And I do still have guilt for those mistakes that I made, because I wasn't ready for that role. But those people I still have a connection with, and we've learned to laugh about some of the things. But that I learned, I suppose, the hard way, and others around me also. But they supported me to continue my quest, and then I wanted then to become a leader, a true leader. So then I started to study and educate myself on leadership. And then I suppose it was the next stage was then to become an actual coach. But yeah, no doubt about it. That experience, that hands-on experience I've had at the coalface on the commercial side, yeah, it's been very valuable.
That's great. And I'm sure that weighs a lot also with the people that want to work with you because of your experience. There's nothing more valuable than being able to draw on your stories when you need to, right?
Yeah.
And that may, some people may call that more consulting, but in my world, your experience is what differentiates you and allows you to help people at a higher level, at a deeper level. Is that what you're thinking as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's times with clients where we don't talk business or commercial or anything at all. But I think it's just having it embedded in me. It helps. It also gives confidence. So, I mean, I tend to coach high achievers, and that tends to be CEOs, founders, but not just those two disciplines. Also, doctors and lawyers who generally don't have that commercial sort of background. However, those skills that I've developed over the years seem to transcend into medicine and law quite well. So yeah, it's been really, really good and enjoyable as well. And it's often I give advice to younger people if they say I want to get into sales or I want to get into business or I want to do this. I just say go commercial, get a job in a shop, go into retail, do something where you're meeting people, you're having conversations with people, because it's just a fantastic grounding.
And those two, at least those two industries that you mentioned, they're very unique in the sense that, you know, doctors and lawyers, not to throw my judgments out there, but they have a lot of education, a lot of experience. They've studied psychology, they've studied a lot of things. But do you find that their ability to implement is at a business level is what gets in the way, or what is it that gets in the way for a doctor or a lawyer?
Probably the same as what got in the way for me. So when I with my coach, it was fear of failure. It took quite a while, and we had to go really deep to understand what was holding me back, giving up the day job, giving up the pay packet, and starting out on my own. And I think for a lot of doctors and lawyers, I've been overwhelmed with the entrepreneurship in that field, because if you'd have asked me 10 years ago, I would have thought, well, they're academic, they're educated, and they will operate within their sphere, and they probably wouldn't be motivated to exit that sphere. I was wrong. I'm coming across so many lawyers, doctors who want to go into business, want to go and set up on their own, which is fantastic. And yeah, it's they've got the skills, they've obviously got the capabilities, the brain is very, very active. Their requirement or need for education is very, very high. It's usually just that fear factor, and it's that fear of failure. Somebody, it was my coach, said to me, you know, what is failure? You know, there isn't failure. There's only learning, and that's how I learned to get over that. And that's something that I try and do then with my clients.
Yeah. Actually, we've found that in those industries specifically, and dentists as well, that they are so used to people coming to them with a problem that running a business is a completely different kettle of fish, right? So when we map them on AccuMatch, they tend to come out more procedural than entrepreneurial, right? And is that you're nodding, so you're seeing some of the same things, right?
I do, because I've got a big network with those individuals in there. But the people I tend to work with are the more entrepreneurial ones. So I don't see it with my clients, but I see it in my network. And I've never done a calculation, but yeah, off the top of my head, it's probably 10% of my network have that entrepreneurial flair, where they don't want to be in that sort of procedural nature anymore. They've either outgrown it, or it was never for them, or there's just something in life that's saying to them, it's time to do something different.
Yeah.
But I totally accept, and for those who know me well, my wife's a consultant anaesthetist, and it's just she's very procedural. She will never go and start her own business. She's very, very happy with what she does, and there's plenty of her peers are the same, which is amazing and fantastic. But then there's a smaller percentage, maybe it's 10%, who just want to go and do something different.
It's the being more responsive than proactive, if I can put it that way. You know, people are coming to them. You got to love what you're doing, no matter what it is, right? So they love their work. Obviously, they love helping people.
Yes.
But the shift is when you get someone who says, no, I want to build a business, and I need to hire people, and
Mm.
all of these different skills start to come out, right?
Yeah, so I see it a little bit more there, where the people skills, the management skills of people, because it's for me, I don't think there's a natural sort of gift. I think it's something that you have to work with. Some people are just born a little bit better than others, but I think everybody can learn it to a degree. And that's probably an area that all of us have probably suffered with or found hard. Is the beauty of us humans are we're all very, very different.
Right.
But then that transcends into a challenge sometimes when you are managing and leading these. And I tend to find, certainly with doctors, they have the natural leadership skills, but
Right.
maybe might be challenged with their management skills.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. And I've written stuff and videos on leadership, not before management. So you and I might need to talk about that a little bit more,
That'd be
because
great.
that's a very interesting area that causes a lot of challenges.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I want to shift this a little bit to your methodology, because really a lot of this is leading me to my next question. If you were to work with a CEO or a doctor, a lawyer, whoever that wants to be more successful as an entrepreneur, what are some of the challenges and the journey? And I love your methodology. So I'm just going to see if we can get that up here.
Okay.
There we go. Okay. So this is almost like a racetrack, right?
It is. Yeah. That's another
We
one of
won't
my
go there because you and I love our cars, but
we do.
it's a different conversation. Yeah, tell me a little bit about that journey and what happens, why the squiggly bits and the straight bits. Do they have an implication in the journey that somebody goes through?
You do, yes. Yeah, you've done well there recognizing that. I guess my first prop, I go back to Sir John Whitmore. And before, this book's from the 90s. He wasn't a Sir back then. But I read this in the late 90s when I'd become a very young manager. And it really resonated with me. So his grow model, which is a very simple grow model, very simple framework. But it really resonated with me. And I applied that in my managerial style. Fast forward as you continue with that journey, and the 2017 version is now a Sir, and rightly so. That grow model hasn't changed in essence. It's still very much the same, which is beautiful because it's simple and straightforward. But for me, when I was coaching clients, I felt there was more needed, and then I felt there was also a flow required, which can speed up, slow down, but also you can re-enter at any point. And that's where the elevation model came in. And yeah, I mean, I'm totally biased, but I think it's a beautiful framework because you start off, and often it can be quite slow. So you're starting off at junction 1 and junction 2, and you're going quite deep. And then you come to, it can take a bit of time to get to junction 3. But my favorite part of all, and a lot of coaches would probably agree with this, is that number 4, that breakthrough, the shift. And you can often see it in people's faces. It really means something. And I just love that. And often from experience, once you get onto that straight, I call it the hanger straight after Silverstone in the UK. It's amazing. You do get, although it can take a similar amount of time, it just feels like you are getting somewhere a lot faster. And then you start to, there's still a couple of chicanes. It's not straightforward yet because this needs embedded in. It needs to be cemented in. And there are times with a client where you might be getting close to junction 7 thinking we might have cracked this, and you've got to go back on yourself. But that's why I love this framework so much, because you can re-enter at any point and then just start the process again. What I should say is within all those sort of junctions, there are several tools and disciplines that I apply in a coaching session to achieve the outcome that's required. So it might be, I had a client not that long ago who they were so they had this vision so clear in their head that we just went through 1, 2, 3, 4 so quickly, and actually 5, 6, 7 took quite a bit of time. Vice versa, I had a client a couple of months ago where we were just we were getting stuck at 1, 2, 3. And when we got to 4, it was a beautiful moment. We both felt it. We both kind of sat back in our seats and it's like, wow, we know what it is now. But yeah, obviously, as I say, I'm biased, but I think it's great.
Yeah, it's really cool. And so I'm wondering how long that journey can be. And obviously, it's going to vary with certain people, but you gave a couple of examples there of one that's fast and one that took longer. Can you share a little bit more about the timeline for those and what causes it, the second one to take so much longer? Is it their wiring or what's the block, right?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. And in all honesty, there's not the perfect answer. But if I can give you some examples. So I always do like a free chemistry call, discovery call. And at that point, we try to figure out what that particular client needs. So if I use a doctor as a good example, I coached a doctor probably 3 or 4 months ago. They had an important exam coming up called the Viva. And for them, it was just a confidence build. They needed the confidence. They knew everything. There was no doubt in my mind ever that they were going to pass with flying colours, which they did. But building up to that, the negativity, imposter syndrome, all the bad stuff came into their head. So that was just a month. And we used the same framework, but you don't necessarily have to go as deep, and you don't need to do as many use as many tools. Right. But on the flip, I've worked with a doctor where we initially planned on a 3-month sort of cycle, and we got very deep. Once we got to junction 7, there was other things that they wanted to achieve. There was other goals, aspirations. So then that continued, and we extended it for 12 months. So I tend to work with people 1 month, 3 months, 12 months.
Okay, yeah. And it's good you bring that up because you can, I call it evolve. When people achieve a certain level of knowledge or skill, their ability to see what's next becomes clearer. But without getting to that first juncture, if you like, of success, they can't get past that because they keep hitting that ceiling. And I like that you can start that. But the question that I was thinking about was, do you find that people go, thank you very much, and they're done, and later they come back again and you find that they've fallen back and they need to go back to number 1? You're smiling, I guess.
Well, I've been there. We're all human, and I actually, as you know, I have 2 coaches, and that sometimes is a surprise to people. And I don't know about my second coach, but my first coach, he has a coach as well. I'm aware of that. I know my second coach definitely has a supervisor. But yeah, we're all human, and there's a metaphor that I use, which is, when you're at sea and the waves are a bit choppy, you can't see the coastline, but you can see the lighthouse, and a coach can act like that lighthouse. My first coach would use it a different way and would say, when you're inside the bottle, you can't read the label on it, and whichever one they're the same sort of meaning at the end. And we get so engrossed in our daily lives, our busy lives. We have our best intentions at times, but life does get in the way. So yes, there's that reoccurring phone call. Something's come up, something's happened, something's changed. Can we start again? It's very rare to start at number 1 because there's already that relationship, there's already that history. But if it's a totally new game, and certainly when I was with my coach talking about whether I went full-time coaching, that was nearly starting at number 1 again, because it was such a big thing. I was leaving behind a really good corporate career, to follow my passion, and I needed to make sure that it was the right thing to do. So
Right.
yeah, at times you can start at the beginning, but that's what I love about this framework is you can pick up wherever. But I would say when often, and it's quite common, once you get to number 7 and that thing's now sorted, it's beautiful, it's achievable,
Yeah.
it can open the door for other things.
Yeah. We've had a few case studies, so I'm glad that you see the same thing. With Acumat, because we can map someone's behavior and unconscious patterns, right? They can see the change, and because it's visual and they achieve the results that they wanted to, they quit the coaching. But then when we map them again 6 months later, 12 months later, just to check in on them, we see things that have regressed back, and it's a visual graph, and it's really powerful. But as you say, I call it allow people to be human, allow yourself to be human, right? It's going to happen. It's not the end of the world, right?
No, and it's monitoring it. It's like having a compass or a speedometer on your car. You've got to measure it, and I do quite a few of the behavioural tests, and there's times when I've changed and I want to be a better me, but without that information in front of me, it's guesswork to a degree. It's instinct. So yeah, having that data is paramount.
And I like your other analogy. I use the helicopter and mountains as my analogies. When the world explorers first encountered, Canada with our mountains, right? They didn't know what the next mountain was going to look like until they climbed the first one. So you got to get up on the first hill even before you can see the mountain. But then behind that mountain is maybe another bigger mountain, right? So you don't see it until you actually complete one phase. And I like the journey because it's very clear about what the phases are, right? And I don't have my glasses on, but maybe you just walk us through the titles a little bit, and maybe just a quick example of what happens in those stages. Would you mind doing that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So to begin with, it's that vision. It's between the client and the coach. We are working out, why are we in this room? What's brought us together? So from the discovery call or chemistry call, you've already got a picture, but you need to start with more. And sometimes you are doing behavioural tests at that point, and other things as well to start to set the picture. You then want to find the alignment, and start clarifying that, start putting that into detail. And that's where you can get a bit bogged down, because like many of us, we've got so many things going on that it may not be a very simple thing. Say this CEO that I was coaching recently, they knew instantly. For them, it was just boom. It was time's money. Let's get on with it. I know what I need. I just need to help to get there. Once you've started to list areas, and we tend to like to stick with one, but we can do multiple, but one's better. It's bringing that awareness, and working out exactly what the present looks like. So you've got your area that you're focusing on, or areas. What does it look like today? How is it sitting with everybody, yourself? What needs to happen next, do you think? And then there's that breakthrough point where the clarity comes, or as a recent client said, the fog disappeared. So as they said to me, you've helped me to find this. And I said, well, it was always there, but the fog around was stopping that. And I know I've suffered with that myself. So once you've got that breakthrough, you are then taking it to the next step, where you are starting to build, and start to action, and start taking some accountability and responsibility for the areas. But one of the the hardest parts is once you get to junction 6 is that commitment. And why that's very hard is because it's back to life getting in the way. So somebody could easily have an aspiration to say run a marathon. They need to train for 6 months, and then work increases or family pressure increases or something starts to change. So that's where you can go back to say number 2, number 3, number 4, and is it really your main goal, or is it just a nice to have? Because if you can't get the time for whatever reason, and you can't make the time, then maybe the family's first. So what can we do there? So so you're starting to come through, and then at the very end, that's the embodiment. Then it's cementing everything in so that it sticks. Because you're absolutely right. It's very, very easy for all of us just to waver at that point, because it's easy to say you're going to run a marathon, and it can be easier to start doing the training. But as you get close to that marathon date, it is going to become harder and harder, and then you've got to run it. And that's or somebody might aspire to say, well, I want to run 10 marathons. So maybe for that individual, the first one was relatively easy, but the 10th is going to be super tough. So that embodiment is quite key. And those clients who can achieve that, they have a very, very relaxed aura about them. That you can tell that they've reached some of their personal aspirations, some of their goals have been met. And then for them, it's usually, before they relax, it's usually onto something else. And they want to climb Everest or do an Ironman or do something pretty spectacular.
And that's that mountain analogy that I use, right? They don't know until they climb that first one what they're capable of doing. And I don't know if you find this as well, and I wonder about that first step, which is vision. You know, I found a lot of entrepreneurs that I've worked with don't start out with a very clear vision, and so it's through the coaching, the education, the knowledge, the experience that they start to shape. Now I know what I can do. Is that you're nodding? So you see things, right?
Yeah, I see it all the time, and I saw it with myself. I was only telling somebody today who was asking me about what I do. Back in 2018, when I got that proper executive coach, I didn't really know I needed a coach, but I trusted them that, they said, I can, from what you're telling me, this is what it sounds like. And so we went on a journey, and it just changed how I did things. It changed my relationships at home, with friends, with family, but in my workplace, and I was running a business then, a team of about 30 and 10 million turnover. It was small to medium. But the way that I led that team totally changed. And it was from that whole coaching cycle. If somebody would have told me that 3 months before embarking on the journey, I wouldn't have believed it. It was only by experiencing it myself then I really understood what it was all about.
Yeah, very interesting. And often, and sorry, I'm going to go back to that previous question for a sec because it's still in my head. Do you find, because of that lack of clarity at the beginning, you can maybe not dive in too deeply into the vision and just start moving into identifying their blind spots, their behavior patterns and things like that? Is it fair to say that happens often? Or
I think I did a blog on it just recently about, and I used my own experience the first and second time that I embarked on a coaching program, and I titled it All In. If somebody is going to take the time, which is an expense, a massive expense to that individual, and then they're going to pay for it as well, so there's a financial expense as well. Hand on heart, please just go all in. Just because it really makes such a difference, and I can speak from experience with it, and certainly in those first sort of journeys from 1 to 2 to 3 and then to 4, it makes such a difference. And on those occasions where we've had to sort of back up, sometimes it is because maybe they've not gone all in, that maybe they've not fully opened up. And I think what my sort of message to individuals out there thinking about coaching is, yeah, go all in and trust that coach, because as coaches, we are trained to be their sparring partner, to be their confidential sparring partner where they can speak openly, talk about anything, and it's a trusted environment. There's not a coach out there who would risk losing their certification or creating a bad name for themselves. And if they did, every other coach would be on them. So it's something that I would really, really plead with. Just if you are going to go to that expense, make the most of it, go all in, and really, think big, go for it, because as humans, we can achieve so much. And the more that you get out on the table at that initial phase, the more you will get in return at the end. And as I say, I discovered that, I suppose, the harder way, but I did discover it.
Yeah. So just to sum that up a little bit is, don't worry if you don't have a clear vision. That's the whole purpose of getting a coach. If you want to build a career, a success story for yourself, you don't know what you don't know. And that's really where, the whole coaching journey, and I think a lot of people will relate to that. It's your accelerator. Do you want to go and figure it out on your own and spend 10 years? I've seen people actually, one of my early clients had been at it for 25 years and had finally achieved success after 25 years. And I go, as a coach, we could have done that so much more quickly because of the sparring that takes place, the blind spots that they're not aware of, the knowledge, the experience, etc.
I totally agree with that, Nagui. And I've had experience of that just recently, actually, where a client had a goal, and this goal, I talk about climbing Everest. This goal, it wasn't to climb Everest, but it was similar. It's something I would never, ever, ever be able to achieve. And they had this goal. They'd already got to, let's say, 2/3 of the way up Everest, which is just amazing, and most people don't get to do that. For 15 years, they waited to get to the last part. 15 years gone. And then within 3 months, and it was actually after 2 sessions, he got that awareness and the breakthrough happened. And he is now going to get to the top of Everest. But 15 years had gone by. It's incredible that that we allow that. And I'm just to say, maybe I should have been doing this 10 years ago full time. We've all been there where we look back and think, maybe a bit of support or a bit of help there. But I get it. I understand with some people how you want to try and work it out yourself. But we've both got lots of experience, and having somebody there to help you work it out, it's faster, and you get a clearer answer as well.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's very exciting, and I've seen a lot of coaches struggle with that themselves. And the important thing, and why you and I connected so well, was around behavior, right? People can't read your mind. They don't. And I know people are bored of me saying this over and over again at every session. We can't read minds. We only respond to behaviors. So if your behavior is wrong, what do you get? You get the wrong thing, right? You get what you deserve. I joke about it, right? So to change the behavior, do you need to change the mindset first, or do you need to try new behavior first? And this has been a huge debate. And I see a lot of universities actually shifting in the last maybe 10, 20 years. I've seen that shift from the complete focus on cognitive psychology and how we think, to bringing back the behaviorism and saying, no, it could be this or it could be that. Which one's first? It's the nature nurture conversation as well. So
yeah, all fascinating stuff.
Yeah. So it really helps to understand that relationship between mindset and behavior, right?
Yeah.
And leaders need to also achieve that same level of understanding and awareness. Is that one of the first stages? Is that in the alignment or awareness stage? Where do you do that?
Yeah, between stages 1 and 2. Okay. So depending on the program, so if it's a month, you are doing it very, very early on, sometimes before you even. But yeah, depending on the situation and the program and the individual, yeah, you need to have a picture. They need to know. They need to have an idea. And it's always, and when I've done them myself, it's always quite a surprise. And they always say, that explains. Such a great example I had was there was an individual that was in my team nearly 10 years ago. And, you've got to know me a little bit, and those people who know me well laugh at this, but I intimidated this individual. I didn't think I intimidated anybody on this planet, but my coach proved to me that I did. And through these behavior tests, we realized that I was their yin and they were the yang, or vice versa. And they were adapting around me so that I didn't recognize it. And my EQ is pretty high and I've got really good self-awareness, but I didn't recognize it. It took a test to actually show that and prove that. When I realized that as a leader, boom, it was for me to change. And I did. And I just small things like when I went to talk to them, I'd sit at the same level rather than standing above them or doing something that I naturally may have done. I really thought things through. How can I be less intimidating? Because I want this person to feel comfortable at work. So yeah, that's just one example of what you can do.
Yeah. I have a favorite quote that I use, and we throw it out quite often, and that is what you just described. When you're in it, you can't see it.
Yeah.
Right? And there you were in that situation thinking you were doing all the right things, and it wasn't until you got an external observer, your coach, that helped you to see it. And you couldn't see it. When you're in it, you can't see it. And that's the thing.
No, I've had a belief all my life that nobody wants to do a bad job. And individuals want to either impress their employer, impress their peers, go to work, feel good about themselves, do as good a job as possible. And so you find that in the workplace so much. And if you do have a situation like that and they're having to go into an adaptive state, it's only going to end poorly or badly. It's not a healthy situation to be in. And so by using these mechanisms and skills and tools, it can help everyone, including at home as well, your home life. I think you mentioned to me you do these tests with your partner, and it teaches you a lot.
It's amazing the self-awareness and the awareness of the dynamics between us and why it works, and what are the things we both need to be aware of about the other person's automatic unconscious patterns that are not intentionally intended to hurt the other person, but there's just programs that we run, and we catch ourselves and we do it together. But that's the power of it all. But I'm human too, and I can tell you some horror stories of some of the things that I've done with my team in the past. I've had some great success stories. But when you have that difference and it triggers you, how does that show up? And that's the real powerful stuff that happens sometimes, is the stuff that you can't see, the blind spots, as we call them, right?
Absolutely. Again, it's another blog that I've done recently, because we all have them, and you just can't see them. Back to those metaphors we were discussing earlier. You often need that lighthouse to be able to point them out to you. And so you can do something about them. And I think the authentic leader of today recognizes that more and more and wants that more and more. And they are becoming more and more self-aware. The leaders of 70s, 80s, 90s, they didn't necessarily need to have that ability because of society and the way that evolution had changed. But in today's world, they really need it. And I'm so pleased when I see these individuals with higher emotional intelligence becoming leaders and leading people. We just when we saw it in New Zealand with Ardern when she was the Prime Minister, absolutely tremendous in leading the country at that time. We wouldn't have seen that 10 or 20 years ago. So yeah, it does bring a smile to my face when I see that out there.
And it's just a reminder for people, you can't lead everybody the same way. Some people need to be managed because they don't know what to do, right? And you need to get them also to a evolved state where they're comfortable to then do it on their own. Then you can just lead them and just check in with them and support them and encourage them to grow and all of these things that happen. So leaders need to know the difference between the importance of knowing management versus leadership and when to apply those. But I said I wouldn't go into that today, but maybe we need to dive into that next session. You and I can have a bit of another session. I really enjoyed our chat today. The time has flown by.
It has, yes.
Laurence, I appreciate your time. We'll watch for any comments, any questions. Again, you're on Facebook, LinkedIn with me. If there are questions, I might throw them your way, or vice versa. If you have anything that needs to be dealt with, do let me know. But just to wrap up, thank you again, Laurence Loxam at Loxam Consulting. If you need to reach out to Laurence, how can they find you?
That's a good question. So there's my website, so loxamconsultinglimited.org. But LinkedIn, I'm quite active on LinkedIn. I love to blog and enter into discussions. I'm passionate about leadership and coaching. So I'm always keen to shoot over ideas and have a discussion. So probably LinkedIn, but I'm on the socials, Instagram, Facebook, and I've got quite an unusual name. So I'm quite easy to find, which is always usually served me well.
Right.
So just
there's only one of me on the planet. So
I think there might. Yeah, I think there's only one of me that I'm aware of.
That's interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, it is. Yes.
All right, Laurence. Well, you have a great evening, great weekend. Thank you again. Brilliant. Love the methodology and the journey that you take people on. And congratulations, my friend. You and I will keep talking. There's just so much more that we can do together to help more people. Right?
Yeah. Thank you, and thank you to everyone listening. It's been great. Thank you.
Excellent.